Welcome to the Diplomat with Stephen Taylor. It's good to have you along, and thank you for joining us. Please make sure that you are interacting with the show at Stephen Taylor SA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So today, joined by an amazing young man based in the Comoro Islands. I think that's how you say it, the Comoros, but he's going to tell me more. Anesh Maistry, the South African ambassador to the Comoro Islands. Anesh, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It's a pleasure, and at least the Comoros is going to get some airtime. People don't know where we are.
So tell us about you and you being there. How long have you been there in the Comoro Islands? Is that how you say it, the Comoro Islands?
Yeah, the Comoros. Yeah, the Comoros. Stephen, I was appointed by President Ramaphosa to be ambassador last year in November, and I underwent training. I'm part of the Department of Foreign Affairs, which is the Department of International Relations and Cooperation in South Africa, Durkheim. And I took up my position in February this year and presented my credentials 2 weeks later to His Excellency, the President Azali. South Africa has had a mission here for quite a long period, almost 18 years, since 2002.
Wow. And tell us about
how did I get to be here? Well, it was a natural progression in my job.
What was your role at Durkheim?
Stephen, my passion is teaching. So I was the head of a unit called Economic Diplomacy Training and Support at our Diplomatic Academy at Durkheim.
Oh, wow.
Previous to that, I served in Canada as the Councillor Political and the second in charge. And previous to that, I served in Moscow as the third Secretary Political. So that's been my history, but most of the time I've been at the Training Academy.
So Moscow is cold, right? Hey?
This is my first posting where I don't have to shovel snow.
Oh, yeah. So tell us, where the Comoros, where is that? And you interestingly said that it's in Africa, right?
Yes, it is. You know, I will tell you a story. When I was appointed to the Comoros, my mom asked me, sorry, where is that?
Yeah.
Is that a country?
Yeah.
And I had to explain to her that the Comoros is actually a country. Comoros is one of the smaller countries in the African Union. We in the Indian Ocean, about a 2.5-hour flight from Maputo, ironically.
Oh, wow.
We're an hour away from Antananarivo in Madagascar and about 4 hours from the Seychelles. So Comoros is an archipelago of 4 islands. The Grand Comore, which is the mainland where the capital is Moroni. We have 3 other islands: Moheli, which is the smallest of all of the Comorian islands. Another bigger one called Anjouan. Only one called Mayotte. But ironically, Mayotte is recognized by the African Union as part of Comoros. But in political terms, it's one of the last departments of the French. And that is a very contentious point, because if you drive around Comoros, there are boards saying to return Mayotte to Comoros.
So tell me about the population of the Comoros. How many people stay there?
It's one of the smallest countries in Africa. It's 800,000 people, but there is a diaspora of about 300,000 Comorians who hold dual nationality in Europe and the Comoros. But it's, technically speaking, 880,000 if you include Mayotte. But as I said, the contentious issue is that Mayotte forms part of France, but it's not recognized by the African Union.
Oh, wow. So tell us about your role in the Comoros. Is there a lot of South Africans that are there? Obviously, there must be a few, because that's why you are there. So,
ironically, the other day I had all the South Africans at my house for a braai. There was a whole 7 of them.
Really?
It was the five members of staff and their family that are currently here, and the 3 pilots that work for the domestic airline AB Aviation,
Oh,
which is
wow.
actually contracting a South African airline out of Kruger Park in Mpumalanga called Sahara Africa Aviation. So that was the total of South Africans. We
Wow.
have no South Africans registered with us, even though there are a few Comorians that have South African citizenship, but they're not registered with the embassy. It's a very small South African population. But there's a lot of history with South Africa here, and some of it not very nice history, because the Comoros has had relations with South Africa since 1983. And the South African apartheid government had a trade office here. But of course, the apartheid government used the Comoros for nefarious purposes in sanctions busting. So there is a history of South Africa being here. Sun International owned a hotel in the Comoros called La Galawa, but that hotel was nationalized and it was given to a consortium from the UAE, but it's yet to be rebuilt. But officially, we've had relations since 1992. We had relations, and that said, we opened our embassy in 2002.
So it's your first posting as an ambassador. How has it been for you?
I was a bit afraid at first because it's a dream come true. This is what you work for.
Yes.
From being a third secretary, which is the lowest political level, to an ambassador. So I am a child of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, straight out of WITS, straight to the department. So I've been in the department for 23 years, going on 24 years. So my whole life is centered around this. Being an ambassador is the pinnacle of your career. Even though this is a small country, there's a lot to do. I feel there's the responsibility to build the relations. Also, in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, it's very important that we recognize that Comoros is an important part of Africa. We've played a big role in building peace with Comoros during times of turbulence, especially President Thabo Mbeki, mandated by the AU in the late 90s, who brought peace to the islands. So I feel there is a responsibility that I have, that we need to build relations, we need to increase trade, but we also need to help the Comorians develop.
How is the relationship between South Africa and the Comoros?
It's cordial, it's good. I mean, they'd waited a few months to get a new ambassador, and they were very happy to have a new ambassador. You wait around a long time before you present credentials. Mine was 2 weeks.
Wow.
So the president was very excited I was here. I outlined to the president that it's very important that Comoros becomes fully integrated into SADC. Together with Seychelles and Comoros, they were newest members of SADC. South Africa sponsored the Comoros membership to SADC, so we want them to be fully integrated. Of course, we don't agree on all things, but no country agrees with each other on all things. They have a different view on the issue of Western Sahara from South Africa, but diplomacy is about having conversations and talking about how issues are dealt with.
That's right.
We are very clear about the issue of Western Sahara. We subscribe to AU resolutions that actually recognizes the SADR as a country and a state and a member of the AU. And but it's an open and frank conversation. But we have more convergences in foreign policy than divergences. South Africa is ready to support the Comoros to be a fruitful member of SADC, help them with any of the issues they deal with in terms of governance, in terms of capacity building, in terms of skill development.
How has the Comoros handled the COVID situation? What was their stance? What did they do?
You know, I have to tell you, Stephen, even though I'm very homesick,
Yeah.
I feel very safe being in the Comoros currently. We've had 372 cases in the Comoros. The Comoros reported its first case on the 30th of April. The World Health Organization has put together integrated strategy with the Department of Health of the Comoros. They've put in place good measures, barrier measures, which includes a curfew, which includes the limit on gatherings. They've started to ease a few of the measures, but the main thing is that the Comoros will not be able to sustain a full outbreak of COVID-19 given
Yeah.
the infrastructure for health. So they are very careful about how they manage the situation. And the President, the Minister of Health, and the government has done a very good job. We've only had 7 deaths. We've had 203 recoveries. Many countries have donated a lot of equipment and PPE to the Comoros, and we're hoping that South Africa will send through its donation in the coming month to support the Comoros. We're still not opening up all ports of entry for international air traffic. Ports of entry in terms of sea, we can open up for domestic travel, but it's very closely monitored. So COVID situation is not as bad as home, but I think at home, given the number of cases we have, I think the management of situation seems to be under control, and that is evident in the number of deaths that we've reported compared to the number of cases we've reported. And in the Comoros, like I said, we've only had 7 reported deaths so far.
Sure. So tell me about the Comoros in itself. Is it a rich country, poor country? Is it a tourist destination? I mean, I've heard, tell us about that, because I don't know much about the place. But now I want to go.
The Comoros is untouched beauty. You can walk on a beach in the Comoros where there's volcanic rock, or you can walk on a beach somewhere on Grand Comore where there's white sand.
Wow.
And then you have an active volcano that's here, which could be a tourist hotspot, but also it's quite active. It's erupted, but it hasn't caused a lot of damage. Almost 14 or 15 years ago. Their 3 islands are beautiful. They have their own natural beauty. But the thing about the Comoros, it's a fabric and mosaic mixture of cultures, of African, of Arab cultures, and that comes across in the language. A lot of the language has, like Shikamori, which is the local dialect on this island, is a mixture of Swahili, Arabic, and French. So what you would consider Creole in other parts of the world. So it's a mosaic of fabric. It's 98% Muslim, a very devout following, a lot of mosques, beautiful mosques, and it's untouched beauty. What the Comoros needs is a lot of investment in the tourist sector. And this is what they are pushing for, to bring in investment, because the potential is quite amazing in this country to develop tourism. They have an eco resort in the island of Moeli, where ironically IPSA has a huge project, well, not a huge project, but quite a significant project supporting rural farming on the island of Moeli. But there is untouched beauty, and this place is crying out for tourists, investors to build the infrastructure and to have air links into the country to take advantage of that. But it's untouched beauty. But of course, there is a lot of infrastructure development challenges the Comoros has, and that has to be dealt with.
So once this whole thing is over and we can travel again, then I'm going to come and visit you. Then I'll be the 8th South African in the Comoros.
Even, you know, we get so excited to have South Africans. Even listening to Afrikaans now excites me from the pilots that are working here. We've built a BRICS stand, so you're more than welcome. I have a big residence where you can choose your room, and you're more than welcome to come and look at the untouched beauty of the Comoros anytime, my brother. So you'll understand this country through a different lens.
Tell me, whereabouts is the Comoros? If I'm traveling from, say, Cape Town, traveling up Africa, whereabouts is it situated?
The Comoros is in between Madagascar and Mozambique. It's in the Mozambique channel. There's this little dot there of 3 or 4 islands, and that's the Comoros. It's in the Mozambique channel, and good potential for oil and gas finds, as Mozambique has experienced. So it's in the Indian Ocean. We're an Indian Ocean island. Comoros is part of the Indian Ocean Island Commission and also IORA. So they are placed here. Like I said, 1 hour to Antananarivo and about 2.5 to 3 hours to Mauritius. So we're around in the neighborhood, but people haven't seen it.
Wow. And tell me, Nelson Mandela, a very important icon in South Africa and around the world. We are celebrating Mandela Month. We had Mandela Day recently. Why is it so important for us as South Africans and around the world to have days like Mandela Day, to have Mandela Month, to go out and do something good for somebody else? Why is it so important for us to keep Nelson Mandela's legacy alive?
Firstly, I just want to respect the tragic loss of Zinzi Mandela.
Yes, Zinzi, yes.
After it was quite a shock. She was a very, very wonderful person. I actually coordinated their training program when she was going out to Denmark, and we became very, very good friends in the work context. I'd really like to take a moment to remember Zinzi
Yes.
and all that she's done for the struggle whilst her father was in jail, and the support she gave her mother. Why Mandela? I think if you walk around the Comoros, to any rural part of the Comoros, and you talk about South Africa, some of them would have heard of South Africa. Mostly, some people wouldn't have. If you talk about Mandela, I can tell you that whole village has heard about Mandela.
Wow.
And the legacy of Mandela is about service to humanity and with commitment. That's the legacy. And as we were saying before the program started, this Saturday, the embassy and its staff has volunteered to go to a rural area in the south of Grand Comore, outside of Moroni, a primary school which we are adopting in the municipality of Pembe. What we're going to do is we're going to clean the school and then sanitize it. We also use our own funds as individuals to buy 100 cloth masks to give to the school children in this primary school and to the teachers. We're also going to leave them with cleaning equipment, buckets, and also hand sanitizing gel at the end of the school term. So this is a school that we're going to adopt in terms of helping them develop, try and importing items from South Africa, whether it be used, whether it be new, a school that is in need in a rural area, which is a farming community. Why? Because Mandela is our great icon. And why we chose primary school, and his legacy was about children, about helping children, about the upliftment of children. Why we chose sanitizing, cleaning, and providing masks was we thought during the pandemic, this was a really, really good element to bring into the service, voluntary service, for more than 67 minutes that we'll be busy. But it is a legacy of South Africa. It's not just the South African brand, it's the global brand of having Mandela. And what he stood for, the principles of human rights, of tolerance, of peace, security, children, all of these things are Mandela's legacy. But it resonates in our foreign policy. Not only just building the African Renaissance or Pan-African scholarship, but in the legacy and the principles that we develop for foreign policy. So it's a legacy that I think is lasting. It will always be lasting. It's recognized internationally. And in this difficult time, we felt that we need to do something that speaks to the context of what the world finds itself. So that's what we feel about Mandela.
Okay, and tell me, for somebody, a South African wanting to join the diplomatic service, how does it work? What do they need to do?
Like I said, my passion is teaching. I have to tell you, I coordinated the first intake of what we call the departmental cadet program. And that program was important in terms of, we looked at getting young graduates from around the country and bringing them into a classroom and teaching them diplomacy in terms of South African context and an understanding of South African foreign policy. Because universities teach people foreign policy and they're highly critical. But when you're on the ground and you're a diplomat, you understand the context of how foreign policy is made and the nuances and the difficulties. So we started that program and we ran 5 or 6 successive cadet programs. But unfortunately, with the moratorium on recruitment in the public service, it's a bit difficult. But the cadet program was an entry point for young graduates into the department. But of course, the department, being a public service department, has to advertise other posts, other ranks, which is deemed by the Public Service Administration prescript. So you will apply for it, you'll be interviewed, and then they'll do an intake. But unfortunately, currently we have a moratorium on many posts, so it's a bit more difficult. But of course, people are going to get old, people are going to be out of the system, so there is opportunities for young people. My time will come and go in the department, and I'll hopefully be replaced by one of the young students that I taught and coordinated. But the Foreign Service is a calling. It's not just being a public servant, it's also being a patriot and an advocate for South Africa and Africa. But when the opportunities do arise, I encourage all young people to apply for jobs in the Foreign Service at the department. But also remember, you don't have to serve South Africa only in the Foreign Service. There are many other departments doing important work that you can join and be part of South Africa's goals towards development, realizing things in the energy, but also realizing a vision of prosperity for all in the country. But long answer and short answer is that when we do advertise again, please apply. We hopefully will reinvigorate the cadet program and have an intake of young graduates in the coming years.
Awesome. I don't know if you saw there, the light went out. We're having a bit of load shedding, but thank goodness we have light again. Wow.
You're lucky. We have about 6 to 7 power cuts a day. But we have a generator. It sounds like a huge truck, but it's not load shedding because it goes on for periods of about 5 to 6 minutes. Because they run on diesel turbine, and it's quite difficult, the energy sector. So it's one of the areas we want to look at is developing links in terms of renewable energy for the Comoros. But there are many options, and we've already spoken to the DTI about looking at options for renewable energy. Hydrothermal energy is a big thing on the island that is being looked at.
Well, that's awesome. Anesh Maistry, the South African ambassador to the Comoros. I think we're going to leave it at that because I think we need to, as you rightly said, pay tribute to Zinzi Mandela. So we're going to do that when we wrap the show, and also to Utata Madiba, Nelson Mandela as well, so that their legacy lives on and that we remain motivated and positive every single day to go out into society and make a positive difference. I think we need that now even more with what we've been going through lately.
I agree fully with you, Stephen. Thanks for having me on the show. I just want to say to all the South Africans and the people around the world, especially in the big BRICS countries, we will endure. We will deal with this pandemic. We will be resilient. Our economies will flourish again, and we'll all work together, especially within the BRICS context. We need to work together to rebuild the global economic order and also the social order, because COVID-19 has had an impact on people all over the world. And I hope that we find a vaccine. I know South Africa is in the forefront of trials, so I hope we find a vaccine and we provide it to all the poor that can't afford it, and especially in the developing world. But thank you so much. And as I said, we have an open invitation to the Comoros.
No, I look forward to it. But now, when I can't kneel, so I'm going to say, Anesh, Black lives do matter, my brother. Black lives do matter.
It does. It does. It does, my brother. Take care of yourself and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Thanks. All right, so there we go. Another episode of The Diplomat with Stephen Taylor. Make sure that you are interacting at Stephen Taylor SA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Take care. God bless.